Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Lewis from the stewardship team, and as I hope you've heard from by now, our theme this season is sustaining our vision within, among, beyond. Earlier this winter, we heard from Peggy Cardone from Worship Associates for our Within piece. And then we heard from Lori Berry from Social Justice about our Beyond piece. This morning, we're about to hear from Steve Pugh from the property team for our Among piece. Think a minute about our monthly theme for February. It's perseverance. And perseverance and this property, to me, go hand in hand. Consider for how long Nashua area you use have come to these walls to begin and to work on their spiritual journeys.
Good morning. Barbara and I have been members of this congregation for almost 25 years, and in that time, we've contributed both time and money to support many of the programs in the church. We've taught our children on Sunday mornings. We've been part of the Simple Gifts team and community dinner teams, and we've helped organize Cardigan Weekend, I could go on. In all of those, I felt very comfortable with my ability to make an effective contribution. However, that was not how I felt almost 2 years ago when Allison asked me if I'd be willing to take on the job of property chair. A lot of my apprehension because who I was following as chair, that was Mike Wilt, the engineer extraordinaire who can fix anything. To be truthful, I'm not the most skilled and reliable handyman, and I'll give you just one somewhat embarrassing example of that. When we moved into our first house in Merrimack, we of course had an inspection done. That's what you're supposed to do. One of the recommendations we were given was to put additional collar ties on the rafters in the attic. Now I had to go back and actually Google those terms to make sure I knew what I was talking about, but the rafters are the pointy things that the roof sits on, and the collar ties are horizontal boards that you put to stabilize it, especially in big wind. That's what they told us to do. So that meant hauling 10-foot long 2x4s up through the pull-down attic door and holding them up over our heads and hammering them in. So Barbara and I were doing this together, doing it pretty well. And you'll never appreciate how heavy a hammer is until you have to use it over your head. Barbara and I managed to get the first couple of 2x4s up when we heard the dryer buzz. So she told me quite firmly, wait, she's going to go downstairs, change the laundry, and she'll be back. Don't try to do this yourself. That's a quote. Right? Of course I didn't listen to that. I'm a guy. I can do this myself. And I don't think I mentioned, but our attic is only partially floored, so that meant we were doing this by balancing on the joists, which are the horizontal things that the ceiling is attached to. So we're doing this work about 6 inches above the living room ceiling. I think you know where this is going. My only regret is that I wish I could have seen the look on Barbara's face when she came up the stairs from the basement carrying a basket of laundry to see my foot dangling down through the ceiling. Although I did become pretty good at patching the ceiling. Only took about a half a dozen trips to Home Depot, that's all. And really, I think I'm being honest when I say you had to have that spot pointed out to you before you recognized that there was a hole, that had been a hole there. So that's what I was thinking about as I pondered my response to Allison. I eventually accepted the challenge, but I came to realize that I could not try to be another Mike Wilt. There is no other Mike Wilt. I had to draw on my own skills and my own experience, my own talents. After 25 years as a professor at UNH, the last 15 years as a department chair, I've attended a lot of meetings. I can prepare an agenda, I can keep a budget, I can keep a meeting on track, I can delegate, I can try to identify others that have skills and experience to do the things that need to get done and to do them well, to recognize that I shouldn't be the one putting the rafters up or putting the collar ties up in the rafters. And that's what I haven't That's what I've been trying to do, and this is something you can't and shouldn't do alone, and I haven't. Barbara immediately stepped up and volunteered to be the team secretary and to keep minutes and to handle correspondence, and then there's a fantastic group of team members that I've worked with. Bob Sampson, who has an encyclopedic knowledge of this church building and the history of this building. Bob Berry, Muriel Creeder, Nona Storr, Craig Lang, Ellen Fisher, Sherry and Maggie Woolsey, Donna LaRue. I'm sure I'm missing somebody and I apologize. But they've all provided a unique set of interests and unique set of talents and experience to help solve many of the problems that we face. Sustaining the vision also means sustaining this wonderful 200-year-old building. And that's something we could use your help with. If you have a particular skill or some experience that you want to bring to the team, please come and talk to me. Stewardship means more than donating money to the church, although that is important. It means reaching within yourself to identify your own strengths, your own talents, and find ways that you can use them to support this congregation. The property team may not be for you, but I'm sure you can find some way to make this community a better place. Thank you.
I'm Jess Woods, and I'm the bookend stewardship voice for this morning. I just wanted to point out our poster, because it's still in our sanctuary, though it will move after the service, because when you look at these little shiny people, or decorated people, they represent one of us, or a couple one of us, that are committed to making a difference in this place and caring for it. And when we're all together, we can do more in this place. You're invited to come talk with us after the service about where you are on your stewardship journey. How do we stretch the idea of stewardship beyond just what the pledge campaign is? Because stewardship encompasses a lot more than just the pledge campaign. And I thank all of the stewards that we have in our congregation.
Hi, my name is Bob Barry. I'm a member of this church, and I'm also on the management team. This is the first time for everything, as they say, and this is one of those times for me. I've spoken in front of about 40 people, but never this many. So I'm going to make it easier on myself, and I'm just going to talk to 40 of you. My journey, religiously speaking, starts with being raised Catholic, where I was baptized, received my first communion, followed by my confirmation and junior high school time frame, and later married, coming up on 32 years now. I was one of a litter of 6, 5 boys and 1 girl. Having to go to church every Sunday meant having to take a bath, whether you needed one or not. Getting dressed in your Sunday best, t-shirt, tie, dress shirt, tie, dress shoes, and most importantly, clean underwear. Mom always insisted you to get clean underwear going in case we got in a car accident. Honestly, every Sunday she said that. So off we went every Sunday to go to church until we were old enough to decide for ourselves, which meant you're old enough to move out. Wikipedia tells me there are 4,200 different religions in the world today, with some slightly varying from one another. I can't ever recall feeling religious, though I thought only priests and nuns felt that way. Now I honestly believe there are differences between being religious and being spiritual. Religion to me was going to church every Sunday and following the 10 Commandments. That's what we were told, taught, and had to live by. I believe you experience religion listening to it with your ears, but feeling with spirituality, you feel it with your heart. I felt spiritually connected when I got married, when my son was born, and whenever I'm outdoors with only the sights and sounds of nature around me. I believe in a higher power, and I like to think that no matter what religious background we come from, we all have one common thread to share, is that we all love one another. I think man has made religion as complex as our tax laws. I joined this church because of its diverse principles and its open-minded members, many which believe life is a spiritual journey, and my journey has brought me here. I think of this church as an extension of my family. My brothers and sisters have been and still are very close today. I'm 60 years old, and for the past 60 years, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my family. And if you ask any one of them, they would say the same. There was nothing that they wouldn't do for me. So for the past 60 years, we've done nothing for each other. Just kidding. Families are important. Mario Puzo wrote, "The strength of a family, like the strength of an army, it's in its loyalty to each other." So I asked myself, not what this church can do for me, but what can I do for the church? I found plenty. I helped hang the Black Lives Matter banner out front, worked on lots of carpentry projects and other projects inside and out, and most importantly, helped with a community dinner they put on once a month. Henry Ford wrote, "Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." Perseverance should never be measured by how many times we failed, but how many times we keep willing to try despite our failures. So let me close with a poem on perseverance. It starts with a dream, add faith and it becomes a belief, add action and it becomes a part of life, add perseverance and it becomes a goal in sight, add patience and time and it ends with a dream come true. Thank you.